live and work abroad as a nurse during pandemic. Today we want to talk about what are the feeling about live and work abroad as a nurse but during pandemic. This is the hard stuff. Hi, I'm Dina and I am an expat Italian nurse who live and work in UK, Southeast London, and this is Nurses Move, the channel dedicated to the nurses who want to move abroad to live the dream of the life and the place of the planet that they love most. Today the topic is a reflection about pandemic. This is the International Month of Nurses and Midwife, and that is the first one after pandemic, actually during pandemic again. So what I want to do is share what I found while I was talking with other nurses, expat nurses all around the world. If you don't know me, I'm an expat nurse and I manage a Facebook group for Italian nurses who want to move abroad since 2015. And after a couple of years, I start to help other nurses from all around the world with my LinkedIn profile. Last year, just 1 year ago, I started this YouTube channel to share content and help nurses who want to move abroad or help nurses who are already abroad and want to feel successful and live a healthy and wealthy life. So if you're new here, please consider to subscribe to my channel. So the topic today is pandemic abroad. This content today is live on Instagram, so you can find it as well on the IGTV on Nurses Move 2020 Instagram account. Well, get started then. This 4-session live session is for do a reflection of nursing during pandemic. All of us have been affected by this, but I can see probably the expat nurse has been affected a little bit more than the other because they were very far away from their family. Today we're gonna talk about pandemic abroad. And we got out the topic for the next Fridays. This reflection comes from 3 main aspects of a nurse. So be a nurse itself, live abroad and work abroad. Because I talk about living abroad as a nurse and I talk with different nurses in my different platform, I've got a lot of contact on LinkedIn, I've got my Facebook group and my page on Facebook as well, Nurses Move, my YouTube channel. I'm lucky to be able to speak with different nurses all around the world. I want to make this reflection because they come to my attention different things, different feeling about live abroad as a nurse, especially during pandemic. Each feeling is come from, of course, one of the 3 aspects of nurse life abroad. I want to start from the feeling that's come from working abroad as a nurse. Well, this depending mainly from 2 different ways. Depending of what your sense of patriotism is, if you're really attached to your country, origin country, or depending of which level is more predominant between your sense of responsibility to serve others, your passions, of your sense of patriotism. I noticed these 2 different start point, you are patriotism or you anyway, you take care to other regardless in the origin countries. Why? Because these give away different frustration actually. So you are happy to serve the country where you live in, or you feeling guilty because you can't help or offer your service on your origin country, and you're happy to serve the country where you live in, so your second home. So considering this aspect, I noticed those different situations. So the first situation. Lots of nursing during the first but also during the second wave of pandemic, came back to their own origin country to work as a nurse. They left a secure job and lots or things that they built after migration, because they felt the need to serve their own country, their own people. So I love some nurses who moved abroad in the past and build a new life, build a new community, build a new job and career, probably because felt guilty to be in another country during this shock situation of this pandemic, brutal pandemic. They decide to leave everything they built until now to come back in their origin country to serve again our people. So this is the first situation. So the second situation that I found was those who felt guilty but didn't or couldn't come back to the origin country probably were more exposed to burnout because of the feeling frustration of serving the wrong country, even if that was the country that they choose as a second home. So those nurses who couldn't come back home to help the home people, the origin country, they remain on the country that they choose as a second home. They continue to help, they continue to serve the new country, but at that point they felt guilty because they couldn't help at home. So yes, this is a situation that happened often as well. I believe that who better cope during pandemic, probably, but this is not just my opinion. I mean, this is my opinion, but I found that other people think like me. Those nurses were the nurses who had the sense of serve people because of their professionalism and regardless their patriotism. So none of these situations can be judged. Personally, in the first wave, I was in maternity leave. So this happened to me actually. I felt guilty a lot. On the first wave, I was on maternity leave already since few months. So I was at home, and of course, I just have a baby, so maybe the hormones, I don't know, be mom, just a new mom again. But I feel very guilty because I wanted to give my help and serve people, but I also wanted to be at home with my little one and with my family. I wanted to protect them. I was very bad, especially for a few days, especially after I read an article, a news, actually in UK. One new mom, she was in maternity leave and she's come back at work because of the pandemic. So I was already feeling guilt because I didn't know if come back work or not. That after reading this news, I felt very bad, really bad. But at the end, of course, I tried to thinking about and processing this thing. I decided to enjoy my maternity leave as I planned. Regardless the pandemic, regardless people died or not, because this is our job. People die every day and we have to face death. Doesn't matter of pandemic or not, doesn't matter the country or not. This is our job. And of course, maternity leave has its right to be joined as, should be. So at the end, I decided to stay home with my family. Then the second wave of feeling come from living abroad itself. When you live abroad during a pandemic, you're scared. You're scared. Full stop. You don't know what's happened to your family and your loved people. I mean, yes, you can call them and know how they are, but you really don't know how they are, because are they lying to you saying, yes, everything okay, or there is something they don't tell you? So you're scared. You're scared about how to manage loss abroad, because we're talking about COVID-19, take away lots of people dying. So you just start to think, okay, my family is at home. Are they good? How they feeling? If they get sick, how can manage their sickness? How can I manage the thing if they die? So it's very hard. This is for everybody living abroad, but because we are health professional and we live inside the hospital, we know what's happened behind the scene, I believe we are more scared than the other. This feeling of be scared leads to a fear of being helpless, and then you're not able to help. Even if you want, you're not able to help. And so you start to feeling selfish because you actually left your country, left your family, because you wanted to be a new future, you wanted to build a new career, and then now this happened, you cannot help anymore. So you feel guilty and selfish because you move abroad. And this is hard to manage. This feeling is very hard to manage because you actually move with good intention, but you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling the opposite actually. So what happened then? It happened that you start to questioning yourself, questioning about your moving abroad. So you start to thinking, did I've done the right thing? Why I moved abroad? Maybe if I remain at home, something could be different. Maybe now I could help. And so you start to questioning what you've done. And this kind of introspection can last for a little bit or for longer. So this is really depending how you are and how you are able to manage stress. If you're not able to calm down your thought, this situation, mental situation, really can lead to a state of depression and anxiety. You risk to be burnout actually. Some people came back home, in fact, because they were not able to cope with this situation, with this feeling. And in fact, this happened especially to the younger nurses. This happened to the new qualifying nurse, especially who move abroad for the first time. So imagine these young nurses. I can really talk about Italian nurses because I manage a Facebook group since 2015 who is called Italian Nurses Who Want to Move Abroad, and we are a very big community, 3,000 people, and we talk about nursing abroad a lot in our group. So I was able to speaking with different young nurses who felt very bad about being abroad in this situation. Because yes, imagine a young nurse who does not have any future on their home country, so just decide to move abroad. Happy, find a job, ready to build a career, ready to build a future, family happy about this. Just move abroad about 2-3 months, and then pandemic arrived. So about the feeling we talk about it now, yes, this nurse is scared it won't come back home. Of course, a lot of young nurses came back home because of this happened. Well, of course, because we were in a pandemic, well, this happened to everybody actually, feeling in a cage. We were in lockdown, everybody closed inside home, so of course we felt in a cage. But here, the difference when you are a nurse abroad, because it's actually feeling in a double gauge, because not considering the thing that you have locked inside home, you have to need to think about the boundaries, the country boundaries. So you actually cannot take a flight to come back home. The country are closed, so you're not just locked inside at home. You actually locked in a different country where you have maybe nobody with you because you just move abroad. Yes, considering this, when you are a nurse and you live in our country, okay, you cannot go back to your parents. We talk about young nurse, okay? Talk about nurses who live and work in their own country and they have family around, friends around. If they care about their parents, they can make a call and say, okay, mom, okay, dad, can you please go to the window and I want to see you? Can you please wave me? I want to send you my love. I want to send you my kiss. I want to see how is your face if you are in pain. I want to see you for just a little while. We don't have to hug each other. We're going to keep the safe distance. You stay inside behind the window, but I want to see you. Okay, now thinking about a young nurse who just moved abroad. 24 years old, families is at home, but in the origin country. So thinking about this young nurse who face the sickness, who face the death of all the people in a traumatic way, in a like a war, you know, in a very traumatic way. You've got this young nurse who probably just graduated, so maybe didn't really had the chance of experiencing enough death to be resilient enough to be in this situation actually. So this nurse is not so lucky. He cannot call his mother and father, say, can you please come to the window? I want to say hello. Because of course the family is in the origin country and he's abroad, so he's very scared and the feeling is fear and feeling of be helpless. Yeah, this is very hard to manage and can lead to very bad depression, anxiety, yes, and to mental health problem. So yes, please consider these things. If you have to talk to a young nurse, expat young nurse, please be kind, because especially now they really lived in a scared and bad situation. So please be kind with them, because they deserve. So before go ahead, please let me know if what I said till now is aligned with you, especially if you are reading expat nurse. Please let me know which is your feeling, if I say something wrong or if you agree with me, or if you actually have to add something new. Please share with us, because doing this you can help other nurses abroad. So yes, please let me know in the comment box below what you're thinking about. If you are not an expat nurse, please let me know what you can do to help expat nurses who work with you or maybe live near you, to help them to cope with this problematic, with those feelings. Anyway, when the lockdown is finished, the nurse who live in her own country, when the lockdown is finished, can go and, you know, mingle with the family, friends, everybody. We can start a life again and blah blah blah. A nurse who live abroad, especially a young nurse who live abroad, when the lockdown is finished, maybe she cannot come back home, because maybe the country is closed. There's no flight for come back home. Maybe the nurse doesn't have the enough annual leave to, you know, to book a flight just at the very last moment I came back home. Or maybe because the policy of the hospital, thinking about this, some hospitals say, okay, you can take 2 weeks of annual leave, because to take 1 month on annual leave you really need a special permission. Anyway, if you're able to take 2 weeks of annual leave, you're free to come back to your own country, even if the COVID is in a high level. The problem is that when you come back, you have to self-isolate, at least for 2 weeks, isn't it? But the problem is that some hospitals have the policy that you are at home without salary. So you have to self-isolate, but the hospital doesn't pay sickness. So you're actually free to come back home to see your family, your parents again, but actually is at your risk, because if you don't have enough money, anyway, the hospital doesn't pay you the 2 weeks of self-isolating. If there are just 2 weeks, maybe you come back with fever or anything, you need more. And this is a problem, because the hospital, not all the hospital, then they're going to pay the sick leave. So this is not really fair. So what you experience, which feeling you're going to experience then? You're going to experience anger, unfairness, and you start to feeling like a minority. And in some way, you start to feeling abused because it's not fair. I have known my family here. Yes, has been a choice to move abroad, but wasn't my choice a pandemia. So this pandemic situation. So my family is abroad. I want to see my family because it's my right. But when I came back, I have to self-isolate. But then I have no any salary that support me. So it's kind of abuse if you're thinking about. So please, when you interact with expat nurse and highlight with young expat nurse, please be kind because they deserve. And last feeling that I noticed, the last situation that come from the thing of being a nurse abroad itself. This can vary actually depending which is your political orientation, and consider it in comparison that is made between your own country to the host country. So a lot of people started to do comparison. Somebody say they manage better in my own country. Somebody else say no, they manage better in this country. I did right to move here because they're great in everything. Or maybe they say I did right to left my country because they do everything wrong. Yes, this vary as a feeling. Yes, you can feeling disappointed in both the way you're thinking about, or you can feel proud. So depending of you actually. Yes, you're gonna thinking about which one cope better with the pandemic, why a country did something but the other country did something else, how people respond in one country and how they respond in another country. So yes, you're going to judge actually. In my home country did like this, in this country did like that, but if I'm going to watch another country again, let's see, they did in a different way. So it's a crazy tornado of thoughts and feeling and everything actually. And the only thing is that you just try to do your best and try to serve the best, try to live the life better you can. Anyway, yes, pandemic is hard. For expat nurses it's harder because we live death, we live sickness. We scare about what we see every day. We scare because all of our loved one are very far. Our family is very far, so we feel in some way helpless. I don't know if you have any question or if I let you think about something new that you didn't thinking about. I just collect data and I made my reflection. If you're watching this on Instagram, thank you very much for being with me. If you're watching this on YouTube, today is actually 1 year of my YouTube channel that I start posting on my YouTube channel. So if you are watching this video on YouTube, I talk about moving abroad as a nurse, and I talk about any topic related nursing abroad. So if you are interested, please think to subscribe to the channel. This is a live English, not my first language. Thank you very much to be patient with me. I hope I give you some content that you appreciated, and thank you very much to be with me. I thank you again. We see you in the next live then, next Friday. Thank you very much. Bye. Take care of yourself. Stay safe, okay? Much love. Bye bye. Thank you.